Why on God's green earth do job listings not list the salary? Why are we still pretending like the only reason any of us work isn't for money? I was told it was tacky to ask in the first interview about salary, and I still can't wrap my head around that. We're both wasting each other's time if our Venn diagram of salary options don't overlap. It was infuriating. It can cause workplace stress when different people are paid different amounts for the same job, which is really the employer's problem for paying less to someone because they could get away with it. I've worked in a union environment where everyone's pay was in a category that was listed in detail in every contract negotiation. Once you get used to it, it's a much better arrangement. I've always wondered how time in the position factors in. If you work a regular job, something like retail or any type of summer job, if someone has been there for 3 years and you've been there for 1, does that qualify them to make more for the same job? I am 17 and a junior NHS, currently working at a Chick-fil-A, and I have worked there for 2 years. A 17-year-old senior just started, and this is her first job. I make $11 after 2 raises. She makes $11.50. I have the same availability as her and a car to get to work. I don't know why she makes more than me, and I can't bring it up to managers because they will fire me for talking about money. If you're in the US, they can't, legally, fire you for talking about money with your coworkers. Generally, employers won't fire someone for something as minor as asking for a raise to make the same amount as more junior employees because onboarding a replacement is extremely time intensive and expensive, but they can. If you'd be able to quickly get a new job, or your family is financially capable of supporting you until you graduate, which I doubt is the case because you started working at 15, it might be worth asking for that raise. Normally if I were you, I'd probably start looking for a job that pays better than $11 HR. If I got an offer, I'd go to my employer and ask for a raise to either the new offer or however much your coworkers make, and if they don't give it to you, leave. With that said, these aren't normal times and it might be best to just suck it up and not rock the boat until more normal times come back. I left for a month to go to Best Buy, where they had $15 an hour, but I was getting 8 hours a week. I came back to Chick-fil-A and got the raise to $11. I used to make $9. I got a raise last year at my current job. I have been there for 2.5 years. We recently had an employee quit and I happened to notice their job posting on Indeed. They listed my salary as what they would pay a brand new person starting. Made me upset that I've been there and earned my increases in pay when someone off the street could walk in and make the same amount. I know part of it has been cost of living and keeping up with inflation. Whatever, but I still feel that you should pay the employee that has been there a while more than the rookie. My guess is it gives them the ability to lowball, but I don't actually know the answer. It's really frustrating. You guessed right. It gives the employer more bargaining power, and it has no downside because they don't need to employ you, but you do need to be employed. I wondered the same thing last year when I was hunting. Even if I have a sincere interest in the work, the pay does matter and I have a bottom line I have to meet for myself. Why waste your time and mine, right? My guess is it gives them the ability to lowball, but I don't actually know the answer. It's really frustrating. My guess is it gives them the ability to lowball, but I don't actually know the answer. It's really frustrating. You guessed right. It gives the employer more bargaining power, and it has no downside because they don't need to employ you, but you do need to be employed. I always reach out and ask what the salary range is. Pretty rare I didn't receive the information. When I don't, I move on. Only because I've been to a few that didn't disclose. There's a reason. It's a lowball offer. Nobody got time for that. I completely agree. I once went to 3 interviews for a job. They never discussed salary till the 3rd interview. The pay was way below what I needed to make. Complete waste of time. One job a while ago, I got told in a first interview they would table a package during the 2nd interview if we both agreed to move forward. Went to 2nd interview and they offered me $56K for a QC lab manager at a major brewery in 2010. I said that's not even close. They came back with $60K a few days later. Nope. They re-advertised a couple weeks later. I already had a job that was $85 $100K package. I also hate that it's tacky to bring up pay when applying for positions. B. My whole life, not by choice, revolves around money and making as much of it as possible. No, this isn't my freaking passion. No one in this building has a passion for your corporation. We're all just here to suck as much milk as we can out of the CEO's teat. Strictly speaking, the milk belonged to you in the first place. It's the C-levels who are sucking it out of your teats and then spitting some of it back into a bucket and giving you that for your trouble. Imagine looking in the paper to see your company is hiring another worker in your department at a percentage higher that you earn. It's going to cause turmoil. After all, you've been there 5 years without much of a raise. You're not going to stand for it. You'll demand equal pay. Indeed, not listing pay on a job is an indicator of bad HR practices throughout the company, but it's common. I agree that the salary range should be listed, and the fact that it isn't is a little ridiculous. I always ask what the salary range is for any job I'm interested, because I definitely don't want to waste my time if the salary isn't sufficient. I always ask the recruiter about pay pretty much up front. I explain to the recruiter that I don't want to waste anyone's time. They are never happy with me. The truth is, I'm okay with being told a range and that it will depend on experience, interview, whatever. But at the very least, can we get a range of pay? Unlimited earning potential is another favorite of mine. It's their veiled way of saying 100% commission. In my experience in sales, unlimited earning potential usually means that it'll be a sad base pay, with not nearly as sad but not generous commission, and they can just say it's your fault if you question your pay. Hey, the commission is uncapped. Get back out there and sell if you want to make more, champ. Also, limit your ability to perform with these KPIs, otherwise we don't have to give you a bonus at all. Pro tip: if you're using Seek, I think it's just NZ endorse. Jobs have to include a salary when they're listed, even if they remain hidden. So for a job that doesn't have a salary listed, just search for that job and change the search filter between different salary ranges to determine what it is for that job. I've been a recruiter for 15 plus years, and most of the time the reason is the company don't want existing staff to see the salary band, as they are inevitably underpaid compared to new hires. This is exactly where I'm at. I was hired just under $17 HR and have received raises over the years, including one for a promotion. Yet, their hiring start rate is almost what I make now, 7 years later and in a specialized role. My direct report knows it's a point of contention, and if I don't see an adequate raise this season, I'll be looking to move on. I do not believe this is an accident. The one employee characteristic that employers desire most is compliant desperation. This is also why unemployment exists in the first place. There's work to be done, but employers can't lowball us and take profits from our work. If there's full employment, even better. If the unemployed end up homeless, then you can threaten that over your employees all the time. As a hiring manager, at the end of the interview there's always that question where we ask if you have any questions, and most people say no. I usually respond with really, not even how much we are going to pay you. If you don't want to just blurt that out, ask what they like about working there, which is a nice lead question that can evolve into wage and hours. That question is always on my list, but everything I've read always says not to mention it in a first interview, but I hate not knowing one of the most important pieces of that job. Based on everyone's comments on this thread, it seems like maybe I should just start asking anyways. I went through 3 rounds of interviews before I got the answer of $12 HR. I have a bachelor's, other continuing ed, 20 years of work experience, and in a high call area. Minimum wage is $15. I fine hate this process. Sounds like plenty of room for upward advancement. While I wasn't in sales, I did work for a company that would mess around with the commission scheme so goddamn much everyone was losing money each year, at least in comparison what they would have made a year earlier. They were baffled why their Glassdoor reviews were so low. When I was in sales, every month they'd tell us we were amazing, did the best ever, setting records, and our reward was a new compensation plan that made it twice as hard to earn commission. They literally lowered our pay every month for doing more work and getting more sales. They freaking smile and lie and treat you like a freaking dog in sales. To everyone in management there, I hope you freaking starve. Minimum wage job had me come in for an interview as a teenager. Why do you want this job? I need money for college mostly and to just live in general. You know, you should give a better reason than just to make money. Why? That's literally the only reason I'm here. Would you dedicate your valuable time to HR if you weren't getting paid? I'm at a point where I'm comfortable where I'm at, and when any HR person approaches me, I tell them I'm happy where I'm at and I'd consider moving for only an amazing opportunity at X salary with great culture, or I ask them what their range is right away. I cut straight to the point and have nothing to lose, only to gain attitude, and it's a great place to be. It also puts them in a position to go on the higher end of the range and work to get my attention, or I throw out a number that is significantly higher than my current salary where I'd be willing to switch companies, and I weed out a lot of companies. That way right off the bat. It is very annoying, this game that we play. It's a determining fact, a big one. Like, I'm good where I'm at, I don't overwork, and I never want to, so if another company comes along that's also chill, but is offering me 15k more, yeah, I'd consider moving. And that's what I tell them. This is why I like many government or public jobs. All salaries of everyone working there are public information, and there's never any questions. It's kind of nice. A previous job back in 2008-2009 during the crash, so times were hard to get a solid job. In the interview, the manager asked me what motivates me to come into work and do a good job. I told him straight up while looking him in the eyes, money. I like money and that it can be exchanged for goods and services. Thanks Simpsons for that last part. He looked at me absolutely shocked for just a moment and said that was the first time in 20 years anyone was ever that straightforward with him and didn't go on about loving work and other bulls. I got the job right there. I wish there were more people like this. I responded the same way in an interview and they looked at me like I was insane. Apparently, they wanted to hear that working for their company was my passion or some such bullcrap. I didn't get the job. Fresh after getting my second bachelor's degree, Comp C, I was frequently getting offers that sounded everything like what I went to school for. Unfortunately, they were 99% from out of state and I don't have the option to move for work. I'll never forget this one though, where the lady called me up, super excited, to tell me that I would be a perfect fit for them. They were local, not a startup, and from a pretty well-known business in my area. Then she dropped the bomb as if I was too dumb to see it sitting there, and said they would be willing to compensate me for $14 an hour. She had an accent, so I clarified, $40 an hour, no, $14. You know, that magic number people go to school for 4 years for, that go into debt of upwards of $60,000 plus for, fortunately in my case, G-bill, so it was free. I audibly laughed, told her how stupid that offer was, and how offensive it was that she would even bring that to the table. She doubled down though, said they could possibly get me bumped up to $15. This was not some part-time position. This was software development at a large tech company. It was so surreal to hear that, especially as my first local offered position. Fortunately, not a week later I was offered my current job, which pays $44 an hour. The reason they don't post the salary is because they either know they're actively trying to frick you, passion exploit, hide their current marketable wages from existing employees they're paying less, or simply afraid that you'll come back with an educated counteroffer. Frick capitalism. I saw a DevOps role on Stack Overflow today that started at $15 an hour. Of course, they wanted the candidate to do backend dev, DB admin, and some JavaScript work as well. Is this a US thing? I changed jobs last year in the UK, and while there were jobs which didn't list a salary, they were hugely outnumbered by jobs that did. I would filter out all the jobs which didn't offer a salary, and not really notice much difference in the search results. Some had a salary range, rather than a specific salary, but at least they would offer a starting point and a clue about what kind of level they were looking at. I'm not sure how I'd even begin to start looking for a job if most didn't have a salary listed. Probably just apply for loads and then waste a lot of time talking to agents to try and filter the unsuitable ones out. Of course it's a US thing. If it's about freaking over the working class, it's a US thing. You might not want other employees to know how much is going to earn the new guy. You might not want current employees to either apply and get a raise or know the new guy is underpaid. Anyway, it's wrong. HR 101 says you should list the more info the better when publishing an offer, but many don't. It's so the people in same positions can't look at the job posting and realize they're about 15-20% underpaid to current market rate. Out of curiosity, do you still send a cover letter with your resume? I got tired of doing it for every job I applied for. Still got a good job without it. Just seems like a waste of time when all the same info is on the resume. It depends. You can usually tell if a company won't even look at a cover letter. One time I did handwrite a cover letter and mailed it because I knew that would make an impression. It was a public works job that always gets thousands of applicants. I ended up getting the job offer and declined because I was only using the job offer to get a raise at my current employer. Companies are often interested in what you're willing to work for and will take your previous pay into consideration. This is mostly to try lowballing your pay though. I've had companies ask me what my current salary is. As it's quite low, my current company refuses to give proper wage increases despite seniority, and I've refused to share that info. They would definitely lowball me if they knew how much I currently make. One of the many reasons I highly recommend finding yourself a good headhunter. Finding a headhunter is like finding a financial advisor or real estate agent or attorney etc etc. There's a lot of bad apples that just want to make a buck and will try to push you into things because they might make a placement. But a good headhunter will advise you, make recommendations and will work to find something that's right for you, rather than right for them. These also tend to be the headhunters with the most longevity, because it's a business where relationships and referrals are king. Headhunters will also always know the salary of the position before presenting it to you, as well as additional details about the company, culture, hiring manager etc that you might not find on a job posting. Oh buddy, big companies don't give one flying frick about wasting your time or theirs. I have been to hundreds of could have been an email meetings. If anything, they enjoy wasting time on fruitless interviews because they don't have to do their usual duties for a little while. Heck, I used to schedule fake meetings on my calendar just so no one would bother me for a couple hours. There have been studies showing that the average employee does maybe 3 hours of work their whole 8-hour shift. I don't give a crap about your oil field anecdotes, I'm talking average jobs. And surely management knows this. It's a waste of time, energy, and money, but if you don't work at least 40 hours a week in this godforsaken country, then you are a blight on society. I hate it. Yeah, I just stare at my desk, but it looks like I'm working. I do that for probably another hour after lunch, too. I'd say in a given week I probably only do about 15 minutes of real, actual work. What really fricks me off is when they post a range, and you meet everything that's required, and even more, but you still don't get the highest number. Why are you offering this number if you refuse to give it? It's why I applied in the first place. Because they want to pay you as little as possible and maybe a little bit more if you negotiate or if you're the perfect candidate. I straight up ask how much up front. In fact, the job I have now, one of the reasons I'm with them is the recruiter told me up front, without me asking, how much the salary was. It's a lot of hassle to do resumes and interviews and applications only to find out the job doesn't pay. They want to see how little they can pay you. This is why they often will show a range with a difference of thousands a year. Let's be real, employers don't want to show their hand in terms of what they're willing to pay in case they find a person who is willing to work for a fraction of that. They also don't want current staff to see where the playing field is at in terms of salary at the moment. That's it. Those are the reasons. Yes, qualifications and experience might shade what they're willing to spend, but it's not like they have some lookup table where they plug in all your attributes and a salary level comes out the other end. It's more about them keeping a stronger bargaining position. Do you go to the supermarket and go, man, the hamburger is on sale for 0.50 cents less. How dare they charge me less the full price? You are a human resource, and by God if they can get away with buying you on sale they will. The professional notion of not telling your peers how much you make only exists so capitalists can continue their exploitation. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.